If you wake up in the morning and feel that your penis is lifeless, if that natural strength you once relied on has disappeared, it's not because you're old. The real shock is this: your body is not broken. Your erections haven't disappeared forever. They've simply diminished, and with the right touch, they can be awakened again. I am Anaída Mico, a urologist with over 30 years of experience, helping men restore their vitality, intimacy, and confidence. I've helped thousands of men in their 60s and 70s recover what they thought they had lost, not with risky medications or surgery, but with their own hands, their own breathing, and a few simple minutes each day. Here's the paradox. The majority of men believe that age permanently steals their erections. However, science and experience prove the opposite. Deep down, your nerves, blood vessels, and penis are still capable. The secret is not a pill or a penis pump, but 3 neglected points in your body that act as hidden switches. Press them correctly and your mornings will change. That is my promise to you today. By learning these 3 pressure points and combining them with simple daily habits, you will be able to restore blood flow, sensitivity, and natural morning erections without embarrassment, without dependency, and without fear. Stay with me because in a few moments I will reveal each of these points in detail. I'll show you how to find them and explain the habits that will make them work permanently. Before we begin, subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another powerful tip for men over 60. And if this message interests you, type 1 in the comments to let me know you're with me. Otherwise, type 0 so I can continue improving these lessons for you. Chapter 2: The Common Mistake That Is Reducing Your Energy. Now let's begin with the first and most important truth. Erections don't disappear simply because you are older. What really happens is that the natural channels in your body for blood flow and nerve signals become less efficient. And when you understand this, everything will start to change. First, the truth about aging and erections. Let me tell you something. I wish all men over 60 could hear this from their doctors. The loss of morning erections is not a sign that you are broken, damaged, or irreparable. It is not proof that your masculinity has abandoned you. What is really happening is much simpler and much more hopeful. Your body still remembers how to wake up strong in the morning. Your nerves are still alive. Your blood vessels still function. Your masculinity is still there, waiting. But over the years, the signals have become weaker. The switches that used to turn on so easily are now inactive, and the pathways that carried blood and energy have fallen out of use. I've spoken with countless men in my clinic who lower their voices when they ask me, "Doctor, is there something wrong with me? I used to wake up hard every day, but now I feel nothing." I look them directly in the eyes and say, "There is nothing wrong with you. Your body just needs to be reminded of what it already knows." You see, aging is not the same as losing. Aging doesn't erase your capacity. It simply makes it easier to forget the signals that once came naturally. Think of it as a room in your house that you stopped visiting. The electricity is still there, the lights still work, but because the switch hasn't been flipped in years, the room remains dark. This doesn't mean the power is gone, it means the connection wasn't made. Erections work the same way. The current is still in your body, you simply haven't flipped the switch in a long time. I remember a man named Harold, 74 years old, who came to me with tears in his eyes. He said, "Doctor, I don't care about sex anymore. I just want to wake up one morning and feel alive again." That phrase impacted me deeply because it revealed what so many men truly desire. Not just an erection, but the feeling of life, dignity, and confidence that comes with it. A few weeks after practicing what I'm going to show you, Harold called me and said, I woke up this morning and for the first time in 10 years, I felt like myself again. That is the truth about aging and erections. They don't disappear because you're too old. They diminish because you stop sending the signals, because no one ever taught you how to keep these pathways active. But the hope, the powerful and undeniable hope, is that these pathways can be reactivated. They are waiting right now inside you, ready to respond the moment you give them the attention they deserve. And this is where things get interesting because there are 3 hidden points in your body that function as switches. Chapter 3: How the Body Changes After 60. When you press them correctly with the right breathing and intention, they reconnect the circuits, blood begins to flow, sensitivity returns, and your body remembers what it once did with ease. So, let me show you the first of these points, located just above the pubic bone, a place that most men never think to touch. But when they do, everything starts to change. The first point, above the pubic bone. The first point I want to share with you is located just above the pubic bone, that small band in the lower abdomen where the belly meets the pelvis. Most men go their entire lives without giving this area the attention it deserves. They see it as nothing more than skin and bone, but in truth, it is one of the most important command centers for male vitality. When I gently press this region on a patient, I often see their eyes widen because something stirs, something they thought had been lost long ago. It's subtle at first, like a quiet hum of energy, but that hum can transform into warmth, circulation, and eventually a natural response that no pill could ever replicate. I remember a man named Walter, 67 years old, who entered my office with a defeated look. He told me, Doctor, I think I've lost it. I haven't woken up with any energy in years. I placed his hand on that point above the pubic bone and guided him to breathe deeply and slowly, applying gentle pressure. Not force, just presence. In just a few minutes, he felt a slight wave of heat. His expression changed, his posture straightened, and for the first time in our conversation, he smiled. 2 weeks later, he came back and said, Every morning I feel something stirring down there again. I thought it was gone, but it's coming back. This is the power of this point. What makes it so effective isn't magic, but biology. Beneath this area run essential blood vessels and nerves that supply the lower organs. Over time, when we stop stimulating them, the signals weaken, the vessels contract, and circulation decreases. By stimulating this point with attention and breathing, you are literally reminding your body to send blood and energy back where it belongs. Think of it as knocking on a door that has been closed for a long time. As soon as you knock, the door opens and the channels awaken. I usually tell my patients not to rush this practice. It's not about pressing hard or trying to force an erection immediately. It's about reestablishing communication with your own body. Your masculinity responds when you treat it with patience and care. And when that communication returns, the strength emerges naturally. Many men have told me that the simple act of touching this point every day has given them back not only the physical response, but also a sense of dignity, knowing that their bodies are still alive and capable. Chapter 4: The Role of Blood Circulation. As powerful as this first point is, it's only the beginning, because there is another area, one that men almost never hear about, yet it may hold the most important key of all. It lies in a hidden spot between the scrotum and the anus, a place most men ignore, but one that can release a wave of circulation and sensation when awakened. And when you discover it, you may realize your body still has far more to offer than you ever imagined. The second point, the perineum between the anus and scrotum. Now we come to the second point, and I can say with absolute certainty that very few men truly pay attention to it. This point is called the perineum, the soft space between the anus and the scrotum. In Eastern medicine, it has been recognized for thousands of years and is often referred to as CV1. In Western medicine, it is rarely mentioned, which is a shame because this point exerts extraordinary power over male circulation and sensitivity. When I began teaching my patients about this area, I remember their surprise. Many looked at me as if I were joking, not understanding why they should focus on a place they had always ignored. But I guided them gently. I asked them to sit on a small rolled towel or soft cushion, breathe deeply, and simply let the body relax. What often happened next was nothing short of extraordinary. In just a few minutes, many men felt warmth in the lower body, a gentle pulsation, or simply the quiet awareness that something inside them was awakening. I remember a patient named Thomas, a 71-year-old Navy veteran. He came into my office and said, "Doctor, it's like the lights have gone out down there. I don't feel anything anymore." I taught him to sit with light pressure on the perineum. No forcing, no pushing, just stillness and breathing. Within a few days, he called me and said, "Something is happening. It's faint, but I feel a pulsation again. I feel alive." Weeks later, he shared that his mornings were no longer empty. He had warmth, sensitivity, and even a natural strength, returning that he thought had disappeared forever. Why does this happen? Because the perineum acts as a valve. When it is tense and ignored, blood flow is blocked, nerve signals are interrupted, and the body forgets how to send energy to the penis. When you release that tension by sitting and breathing at this point, the valve opens. Blood that has been trapped for years begins to flow freely. The nerve pathways reconnect, and slowly the sensitivity returns to a place you may have thought was lost forever. It doesn't happen overnight, but even the smallest glimmer of sensation can awaken enormous hope, and hope is what transforms everything. When a man feels even a trace of life returning to his lower body, his mindset changes. He no longer believes he is broken. He begins to trust himself again. Chapter 5. Point number 1. Explained. Stimulation and benefits. Unlike simply trusting that your body still responds and realizing that aging does not mean giving up on yourself. That is why I believe the perineum is so vital. It is the gateway, the hidden switch that most men never discover. Yet once activated, it can trigger a cascade of healing. But as powerful as this point is, there is still another one that surprises almost every man I have ever shown it to. It is not even in the groin. In fact, it runs along the inner thigh in a place you probably never associated with your erections. And yet, once you learn how to touch it, you may discover it holds the final key to restoring your strength and energy in ways you never imagined. The third point, inner thigh line, femoral pathway. The third point I want to share with you is perhaps the most neglected of all. It is not even on your penis or in your groin. Yet it plays a direct role in whether or not you wake up with strength in the morning. This point lies along the crease of the inner thigh, right where the thigh meets the lower abdomen. Hidden beneath this soft line are the femoral artery and nerve, two of the main pathways that carry blood and signals to your penis. When these pathways become stiff, blocked, or neglected, your erections lose volume, sensitivity, and the effortless strength they once had. But when you stimulate them, everything changes. Most men see their thighs only as muscles for walking, standing, or sitting. They rarely think of them as part of their sexual health. I remember a patient named Earl, a 68-year-old truck driver. He had spent decades behind the wheel and felt completely disconnected from his lower body when he came to see me. "Doctor," he said, I always thought my thighs were just for getting me from point A to point B. I never imagined they had anything to do with what happens in the bedroom. I showed him how to slide his fingertips along the inner crease, pausing at sensitive or tense spots, and breathe slowly while applying gentle pressure. At first, Earl was skeptical. He said the sensation felt strange, even pointless, but within a week he noticed something unexpected. "Doctor?" he told me with a smile. "I feel warmer down there. It's like the blood is circulating again." By the second week, he said he was waking up with a firmness he hadn't felt in years. But what impressed me most was what he added. "I don't just feel more present in my body, I feel more like a man." That is the power of this hidden point. It doesn't just restore circulation, it restores confidence, control, and the quiet dignity of knowing your body still responds to your commands. The science behind it is simple yet profound. The femoral artery is a direct highway of blood flow to the lower organs. The femoral nerve is one of the primary pathways for sensation. If these pathways are obstructed, no pill in the world can fully compensate. But by pressing, massaging, and breathing gently in this area, you release tension, improve flexibility, and reopen the root. You invite blood to flow freely again and remind your nervous system that the connection still exists. Many men I have worked with report more than just stronger erections when they activate this inner thigh region. They sleep more deeply, feel calmer in the morning, and even walk with more energy in their legs. It's as if the entire lower body wakes up, bringing with it the masculinity that had been quietly waiting its turn to return. Now you have discovered the 3 points, the pubic bone area, the perineum, and the inner thigh, that act as switches to restore your natural strength. Chapter 6. Point number 2. Activating the natural response. But pressing these points alone is only part of the story, because if the foundation of your body is weak, the results can fade. That is why I want to share with you a set of simple daily habits, small but incredibly powerful, that turn these techniques from a temporary spark into a lasting flame. And once you hear them, you will understand why the men who practice them not only wake up with firmer erections, but also live with more energy, vitality, and peace than they ever thought possible. Chapter 7. Point number 3. The Little Known Secret 5. Why these points work? Simple science. At this point, you may be wondering why these 3 points, above the pubic bone, at the perineum, and along the inner thigh, make such a difference. What really happens under the skin when you press, breathe, and pay attention to them? The answer is neither mystery nor magic, but simple science combined with the wisdom of reconnecting with your own body. Erections are nothing more than the result of 2 systems working together: blood flow and nerve signals. When these systems are strong and open, you wake up with a firm erection every morning without even thinking about it. When they are blocked or neglected, morning strength fades, not because the capacity is lost, but because the communication has been interrupted. Imagine your body as a city full of highways. The arteries are the roads carrying traffic, and the nerves are the power lines that light up the city. If a road is blocked, cars can't get through. If the power lines become unstable, the lights dim. But when you clear the roads and restore the power, the whole city wakes up again. That is exactly what these points do. The point above the pubic bone reactivates deep pelvic circulation, sending fresh blood to the organs that depend on it. The perineum acts as a valve, releasing flow that may have been trapped for years and reconnecting nerves that had gone silent. And the inner thigh line opens the main highway, allowing blood and signals to flow freely toward your masculinity. I have seen men who thought they were finished, men who believed age had taken everything. discover in just a few weeks of stimulating these points that warmth, sensitivity, and strength returned. I think of Leonard, 69 years old, who once told me, "Doctor, I don't care about sex anymore. I just want to know if my body still responds." After learning to activate these points, he called me one morning, his voice full of life. "It happened," he said. "I woke up hard. No pills, no tricks, just me." The joy in his voice told me everything. It wasn't just a physical change, it was dignity, confidence, and the profound relief of knowing he was still whole. Science confirms what these men feel. When blood flows freely, nitric oxide is released, blood vessels dilate, and sensitivity increases. When the nerves are reactivated, the brain sends stronger signals, and the response is immediate. You don't have to fight your body. You simply have to remind it of the pathways it already knows. And once you do, your mornings transform from empty to proof of life. But here's the key. Although the points are powerful, they are not the complete answer. Think of them as the switches that turn on the lights. However, if the house wiring is corroded, the lights may flicker or lose intensity. For the change to be lasting, for the energy to keep flowing for many years, you need to strengthen the foundation your body depends on. Chapter 8: How to Use Before Bed. That is where some simple daily habits make all the difference. Habits so small they may surprise you, yet so powerful they can turn these techniques into a permanent part of your life. And once you learn them, you will realize that the secret to lasting strength is not what you do once, but what you choose to do every single day. 6. The supporting habits, 5 daily reinforcements. Now that you understand why these 3 points work, let me share what makes all the difference. Practicing the points by themselves can create powerful changes. But if you want those changes to last, if you want to keep waking up every morning with strength that feels natural, you need to support them with a few simple habits. These are not complicated routines or heavy exercises. They are small daily practices that build the foundation for your erections to thrive. And when I say small, I mean so simple that many men dismiss them at first. Yet those who commit to them discover that their results multiply tenfold. The first habit is breathing. Not the shallow, rapid breathing most of us do without thinking, but deep, slow abdominal breathing. I have seen men lower their blood pressure, relax their blood vessels, and increase nitric oxide, all with just 5 minutes a day of conscious nasal breathing, filling the abdomen with air. One man told me, "Doctor, I didn't believe something so simple could make such a difference. But after a week, I noticed my body was calmer and my morning response was stronger." Breathing reconnects you with life itself, and your masculinity feels it. The second habit is hydration, and not just any hydration. Start the day with a glass of warm water. After a long night, your blood becomes thicker. Warm water gently thins it and helps circulation flow freely, especially to the most important parts of the body. It's a small gesture, but it prepares your system for strength. The third habit is reducing sugar, especially at night. I know how comforting dessert after dinner can be, but sugar silently damages the lining of your blood vessels. Every bite makes it harder for the arteries to recover, and weaker arteries mean weaker erections. I have had patients who simply eliminated their nightly ice cream and noticed within weeks that their morning erections were firmer because their vessels could finally recover. The fourth habit is movement. You don't need to run marathons or lift heavy weights. Just a short, gentle walk after dinner. This walk activates your body's natural venous pump, the mechanism that helps push blood back to the heart and keeps it circulating evenly. It is gentle, safe, and makes a big difference in how blood reaches your lower body during the night. The fifth and final habit has to do with how you treat your body. If you do everything rushing with frustration or impatience, your nervous system will resist. But if you approach these practices with care and respect, as if you were tending to something sacred, your body will listen. This is not self-help talk. It is the reality of how the nervous system responds to presence. Together, these 5 habits form the foundation that transforms 3 simple points into a lifelong practice. They are the reinforcements that prevent your results from fading. They are the daily acts that tell your body, I still value you, I still trust you. Chapter 9: Expected Results and Consistency. But if you are still wondering whether these practices really work, know that you are not alone. Many men feel skeptical at first. That is why the next part is so important, because I want to share real stories from men just like you who put these methods into practice and discovered changes they never imagined were possible. 7. Real stories, real hope. Whenever I talk about these methods, I know there are men listening who nod politely but remain skeptical. They wonder if the techniques are too simple, if the results sound too good to be true, or if they are somehow the exception, the one man who won't respond. I understand that doubt because I have spoken with hundreds of men who felt the same way. But what I have witnessed over the years has taught me something powerful. When a man commits to these practices, regardless of his age, his body finds a way to respond. And the transformations I have seen are not just physical, they are deeply personal, restoring dignity, confidence, and connection in ways that are hard to put into words. Take Harold, a 74-year-old retired mail carrier from Minnesota. One evening, he came to me exhausted from trying every pill and remedy he could find. Doctor, he said, I don't need to feel like I'm 20 again. I just want to wake up one morning and feel that I still matter. His words carried the weight of the loneliness and disappointment so many men carry in silence. I taught him the 3 points, encouraged him to be patient, and reminded him that his body was not broken. 3 weeks later, he called me with a trembling voice. It happened, he said. I woke up this morning with strength, natural strength, for the first time in more than a decade. It wasn't just the erection that returned that day. It was the feeling of being alive, of being whole. Then there was Leonard, 69 years old, who told me he didn't care much about sex anymore. I just want to know if my body still responds. He confessed. He started the practice with low expectations, but soon noticed warmth, sensitivity, and a gentle pulsation he thought had disappeared forever. One morning he woke up, felt his body respond, and sent me a message. Doctor, now I know it's not over. There is still life inside me. That moment changed everything for him, because it proved that age had not stolen his masculinity.